Hey guys, today we're going to be ranking every biome you can find in Against the Storm. Each biome has various effects, some positive and some negative, and each one will slightly favor different play styles. While the base game comes with 6 unique biomes to choose from, if you got the Keepers of the Stone DLC, then you'll also have 2 additional biomes to settle in. I'm going to be ranking these in terms of how much I enjoy playing each biome. If your list differs than mine, let me know in the comments. Without further ado, let's get started with the ranking. In last place, we have the Marshlands. This is the only biome I consider to be bad, and I actively avoid playing on it. Now, the first thing you might notice when embarking into the Marshlands is that the game says this biome has a small amount of fertile soil compared to every other map, which has an average amount. The Marshlands' main gimmick is there is less fertile soil compared to other biomes, which forces you to run a more camp-based economy. If you prefer camps over farming, then you'll probably love the Marshlands, but I prefer not to have to roll the dice with advanced camps compared to farming. The marshland trees give no bonus wood, and the bonus resources are quite minimal, meaning you'll probably have to be running 2 or more woodcutter camps. The giant resource nodes are a unique addition to the map. However, it's really frustrating when you finally reach one only to find out you don't have the correct advanced camp to actually tap into the node to get the resources. I usually find myself struggling to keep up with food and fuel demands on this biome. Perhaps it's because of my playstyle, as I don't like running more than one woodcutter camp, and I don't go into Forbidden Glades very often, but I also don't have these issues on other maps. Finally, this is probably the ugliest map in the game. I think this map can be fun for some players, but for me, it's just not my jam. Coming in at number 7, we have the Cursed Royal Woodlands. Now, when I first started playing this game, I thought this map was like a mini boss level before the Sealed Forest, but now I see it's really just another biome. The deal in this map is the glades are all the same size. You won't know which glades are small, dangerous, or forbidden until you open them, which can make for some interesting encounters. I think for new players this map can be a bit risky to play on, but for experienced Viceroys, they should be just fine with the randomness of the glades. Forbidden Glades will not appear towards the center of the map, so there's not really a risk of running into one right off the bat as long as you watch where you're cutting. In this biome, I like to chop trees until I get close to opening 2 glades. That way, if the first glade turns out to be a small glade, I'm right next to another one that could give me more resources. Trees give 60% bonus wood, and there's some other goodies to get from trees also. The main reason that the Cursed Royal Woodlands is in 7th place is because of the ghosts. The ghosts are shown to be a positive map modifier. However, beware that there's some ghosts that have negative effects if you fail to appease their request. For instance, you could get the Furious Villager. So this ghost requires you, or it gives you 30 minutes to attack a trader and sacrifice some goods. Now, is the treasure usually worth it? Yeah, but attacking a trader can be a really risky decision, and I don't think the game should punish you that harshly for not fulfilling this request. It kind of makes these ghosts feel like dangerous glade events rather than positive events. Luckily, some of the ghosts will just vanish if you don't fulfill their requests, but just watch out for the hostile ghosts. Coming in at number 6, we have the Sealed Forest. I really like how the Sealed Forest changes the winning condition. Instead of filling up the reputation bar, you have to complete 4 seal goals to reforge whatever seal you're working on and win the game. When I finished my first seal, it felt like a great way to end the run rather than just completing another settlement. This biome feels like a boss level with plagues that affect your settlement during the storm, trees with angry faces on them, and a freaky looking eye staring at you throughout the game. While trees give no bonus wood, there are some overgrown trees that have 10 times the wood compared to normal trees, so I always try going for those trees if I'm desperate for some wood. This biome has a few tricks, most of which I think are a great challenge. In the Sealed Forest, woodcutters don't raise hostility, and instead, the number of trees you've cut affects your hostility. This can be very dangerous, as now you can't turn off woodcutters during the storm to lower hostility. But on the flip side, if you're short on wood, you can cut down trees without raising hostility. The plagues during the storm I'm usually able to deal with, but there are a couple that I find extremely annoying. For instance, the Plague of Fishermen will spawn a dangerous or forbidden glade event near the main hearth. For some reason, every time I've gotten this plague, the game will spawn some type of event like a drainage mole, where if I fail to complete it, everything within a 20 tile radius will be destroyed and die, which pretty much means you'll lose the game. I feel like this is a little bit unfair and is like a gotcha to the player, especially if you don't have enough resources to solve the Glade event. Now on the bright side, you have access to the Beacon Tower and maybe a Forsaken Altar, so there are ways of getting out of tight spots. The Sealed Forest is a nice change of pace and a pretty cool biome to play. Kicking off the top 5 is the Ashen Thicket. Now I don't have too much of an opinion on this map as it's still relatively new. This is the second DLC map of Against the Storm, and it doesn't disappoint. The main draw here is you get a cornerstone forge. This building allows you to create your own customized cornerstones. However, you don't get any cornerstones in years 3, 5, and 7 of the game. While I really liked the idea of forging my own cornerstones when I first heard of the map, I ended up thinking it was just okay once I did it a couple times. For one, you need Thunderblight shards to forge a cornerstone. To get one, you need to mine 40 resource charges, which takes a long time, especially if a mine doesn't spawn in the opening glade. Also, the cornerstones you can forge are mostly decent, but I noticed some of the penalties offered did not come close to balancing out the bonus offered. Some of the penalties are things like -1 villagers living in shelters, -2 to global resolve, or even 3 impatience points. I don't think these penalties are really ever worth taking, so maybe this could be rebalanced in the future. This biome is focused on mining, and it gives you Rainpunk carts after mining 80 resource charges. Unfortunately, it's kind of like an uglier version of the Royal Woodlands, but the music is a nice change. I probably need to play this biome a little bit more, but so far I like it just fine. At number 4 we have the Coastal Grove. Now when this map first came out, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but it's grown on me quite a bit since its release. The Coastal Grove is the first DLC map in Against the Storm, and it has a unique twist, the Strider Port. This map offers fewer blueprints to you, and instead you'll have to send out expeditions on the Strider to obtain blueprints, as well as some buried treasure. Now when the map first dropped, I thought that the resources required to use the Strider were a bit too costly, but since then it was rebalanced to not require quite as many resources. I like how you're able to select which kind of blueprint you want between service buildings versus industry buildings or food buildings. The Coastal Grove is the only map that is always shaped like a crescent, and it is very fishing heavy, so I always bring the advanced fisherman's hut when I embark here. The general aesthetic of the map as well as the music make for a calming yet stressful experience during the storm. Unfortunately, the trees here don't give any bonus wood, but they have a 30% chance for giving algae, which can be used in the Strider Port. The Coastal Grove also allows you to sacrifice algae in the hearth if you use ground bait 150 times. I usually never use ground bait in my games, but this map gives me an excuse to give my fish something to bite on when I'm trying to catch them. Kicking off the top 3 is the Royal Woodlands. This is the perfect biome for new players, and I've had a ton of great games in this map. The trees give 100% bonus wood as well as some other goodies, and there's a nice variety of resources for you to obtain here. The friendly, tranquil environment might look promising, but this map does have its tricks too. A weird quirk of the Royal Woodlands is that it's the only biome to not have any ore veins. I don't really think this is a huge issue as I don't really need coal for fuel since there's a ton of wood here. Copper can be substituted for scales, which are on this map, and salt, well, I can usually get around not having salt. There's not really much else for me to say here other than it's a solid starter map. Now the top 2 are really close for me, but if I had to pick, I'd say my number 2 would have to go to the Coral Forest. By far, the Coral Forest has the best trees in the game. Even though the trees don't have bonus wood, you can get stone, meat, plant fiber, incense, and even crystallized dew from these trees. When's the last time you've ever seen a tree grow metal bars? The various tree bonuses incentivize cutting down different trees and taking unique cutting paths around the forest. This biome also gives villagers a 3% chance for double yield for each hostility level. This might not sound like much, but in the late game when you're possibly at hostility 4 or 5, this could be like a 15% chance for double yields. Outside of these perks, this is by far the most beautiful map in the game. I love the way all of the trees and flora look in this biome. This map can be a bit tricky for new players, as deciding which kind of trees to cut down adds a layer of complexity to the game that new players probably aren't looking for. The Coral Forest is a great map, but it just barely misses out on getting the top spot, which belongs to... Our top spot goes to the Scarlet Orchard. This biome is home to 3 excavation sites as well as the archaeologist's office. When I first started playing Against the Storm, I didn't really pay attention to these all that much, but these can be some of the most powerful tools to use in the game. What I love about these excavation sites is they allow you another path to winning the game. If you successfully excavate, conserve, and then restore a site, you get not 1, but 2 reputation points. There is no other event in the game that grants 2 reputation points. This has given me other paths to victory when I didn't feel like completing orders or raising resolve. They each require a huge amount of resources to solve, so I don't consider them too easy or like cheating. You also have the option of taking the resources at any stage of the excavation, so you don't have to go through with the whole process if you don't want to. The Archaeologist's Office can also grant various perks like production boosts, hostility reducers, and even the ability to prevent a villager loss. The trees are pretty good on this map too, with a 60% chance of bonus wood, as well as a small chance for copper, dye, and plant fiber. This map is also very nice to look at, especially if you are able to restore the excavation sites. I think this map is very accessible to new players, but also gives an exciting challenge for experienced viceroys who want a different way to win reputation. And that's my ranking of all 8 biomes in Against the Storm. My list probably wasn't your list. If you feel like it, leave a comment telling me your list. I'm always curious which biomes other people enjoy. If you like this video, consider hitting that subscribe button for more Against the Storm content, as well as other gaming content.